The following is an ESPN special presentation.
Early this afternoon, they began to arrive in anticipation of a Stanley Cup victory. The Devils have dominated and need just one more win. Come inside and grab a piece of history. This group thinks it's over, as the fans are looking for the second straight cup in the New York area. They have the brooms out ready for the sweep, but first it's time for the quest for the cup. It wasn't supposed to turn out this way. Not like this. This was their year. The year the Detroit Red Wings finally returned to Stanley Cup glory. But incredible regular seasons and playoffs have suddenly given way. Everything they've built and all they've worked to achieve could all end tonight. But for all the pain, disappointment, and suffering that the game of hockey inflicts, it also brings to the winning team an awesome feeling of joy. For the New Jersey Devils, it's one win from the Cup. Toughness and tenacity has them on the doorstep. They can join the great teams in hockey with just one more win. And the most exciting part is, it can all happen tonight. Once again to the Brendan Byrne Arena at the Meadowlands in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The New Jersey Devils looking for the sweep of the Detroit Red Wings. At first, the quest for the cup. Welcome, John Saunders, along with Mike Milbury and Barry Melrose. And gentlemen, the first news of the day is the fact that Mike Vernon will start in goal. They didn't make the announcement for most of the day, but he led the team out onto the ice. There was some speculation that Chris Osgood, who actually got into game number 3 when Vernon was pulled, would get the start, but it will be Mike Vernon. Mike, got to ask you about that. Do you agree with that decision?
There was a question mark in my mind. There's desperate measures here for desperate times. Osgood's looked very, very good, but if they go to Osgood and they haven't, it would have meant the end of Vernon. He's supposed to be their go-to guy for the next 4 years.
Well, Mike, I don't really think it mattered who they're going to play. I think Scotty probably thought of starting Osgood, but they're a little worried that they don't want him to lose both games. Last year, the final game, and this year. So I think they're going to be careful with this kid's psyche. I think maybe the only goalie that could help him would be Roger Crozier, the last guy to win the Conn Smythe for Detroit.
All right. When it comes to our goaltender, we don't have a choice who we can start. We've only got one guy. It's Darren Pang, so we're starting him tonight. What do you think about the decision?
Well, thanks, John. You know, my thoughts on this decision are based around how he's played and what his mental makeup is. It's not a bad move. Scotty Bowen was the guy that brought him over from the Calgary Flames in the offseason. When they acquired Mike Vernon, fellas, they were looking for that experience. He won a Stanley Cup, and they were looking for a big save type of goaltender. Well, he gave them that in the playoffs thus far before this series. He gave it to them, of course, in the first round. But what's happened so far in this series, the first goal against Stéphane Richer, that was a big one. It was the first goal of the game. One of those squeakers in game 2. Well, it was John McLean's tally. That was a big one as well, making it a 2-0 hockey game. And, of course, in game 3, none more magnified than this one that gave the New Jersey Devils a 2-0 lead late in period number 1. And it's that type of goaltending for the Detroit Red Wings, fellas. If they're going to win this one, they need big-time saves from Mike Vernon, saves which gave them the position to be in right now in the Stanley Cup Finals. For more on the Detroit Red Wings, let's go downstairs now to the Red Wing locker room area and Al Morgani. Al?
Thanks, Darren. Maybe not a change in goal for Detroit, but you didn't really think Scotty Bowman was going to look at that play in Game 3 and not make any changes for this game? Right, there are some. In the first place, Ray Shepard, the guy with that great touch, well, he hasn't had that great touch. As a result, he's not in the game tonight. Shepard out. Also, in an effort to get some more physical play, Mike Krushelnyski in the lineup, Stu Grimson in the lineup, Sean Burr out of the lineup. So some changes for Detroit as they try to save their playoff season here tonight. And now, to find out whether the Devils have their thumbs on the cork of the champagne bottle, Steve Levy.
Oh, like, that's really fair. Al gets all the news as usual, and I get the Devils, who play and act the exact same way. Dull, boring, but wildly effective. One lineup change figures tonight. Michigan native Brian Ralston will play. Valeri Zalapukin, who had played in 18 of the first 19 Devil playoff games, appears to be a healthy scratch. But hey, Jacques Lemaire, the Devils coach, has pushed all the right buttons, and he said all the right things. Veteran sniper Stéphane Richer said that before every single playoff game, Lemaire has come up with something brilliant to motivate the club. We'll see if Jacques has one more winner in his game tonight. Let's go back upstairs to John. All right, Steve, thanks a lot. And we watched this New Jersey team come very close to making the Stanley Cup Finals last year when they lost to the Rangers in double overtime. This is a confident group. They knew they could get here.
Confident, and clearly Jacques Lemaire is doing something for their attitude. They have guys all over the place from lines 1 to 4 who do things they've never done before. Watch them all back on defense. They're certainly playing plenty of defense. You can see all 5 Devils below the circle. Watch Mike Peluso. He's not supposed to be able to do this. And Yzerman gives him the hack. It looks like role reversal. This guy is really playing a heck of a brand of hockey. And speaking of hockey players that are on fire, it's Randy McKay. Look, he looks like he's doing a victory lap here. Driver throws it in. Halik makes a great no-look pass, and McKay with a tip to finish it up. Just amazing stuff going on for the New Jersey Devils, Gary.
You're exactly right, Mike. And on the flip side of confidence is a lack of confidence, and that's exactly what the Detroit Red Wings got right now. Things that happened naturally for them earlier in the year, they're having a lot of trouble doing right now. 3 great players, Coffey, Kozlov, and Fedorov leading a rush. Look at this. A turnover, they don't even get a shot at net. They lose the puck. Bang, they're gone 3-on-2 the other way with a defenseman trap. And the thing that they've done great is punish Paul Coffey. This guy is a great defense, but every time he's touched the puck this series, he's been drilled, and after a while, you don't want that thing coming near you, and that's what they've done. Mike just showed this play on the confidence part of the Devils. I'm going to show it to you on the lack of confidence by Detroit. This team was one of the best defensive clubs all year long. They bragged about it. They've talked about it. They're not one of the best defensive clubs right now. Look at this. 4 Detroit Red Wings glaring at that little puck. Open backdoor goal by Randy McKay, who is on fire. Great player. And again, you see right here, Fedorov, great defensive play. Excellent. This guy is one of the best offensive players in the world. Watch this. Where's it going? Right to the Jersey Devils. Gone offense the other way. Great transition.
It's amazing what losing 3 games in a row to New Jersey will do to the team's confidence, and we've seen it. The Detroit Red Wings are down right now, extremely low, but they're not out as of yet. When we come back with more Quest of the Cup, we'll take a look at this guy. Nobody's been more up for the playoffs than Claude Lemieux. Is he the Conn Smythe Trophy winner? We'll examine that more in a moment. Welcome back. The New Jersey Devils just 1 win away from hoisting the Stanley Cup. The last time they got this close back in 1988, but they took a victory on the end of regular season in overtime against Chicago. Darren Pang giving up that rebound, and Panger, I got to tell you, you got to stop using the goal pads made by Goodyear's. John McClain got that one to Darren.
Guess you're saying it was a huge rebound. Don't come to my goalie school in the offseason, John. I'll teach you the bad things about the game of hockey. You know, that year, Claude Lemieux was not in the uniform, of course, for the New Jersey Devils. He was a member of the Montreal Canadiens. One of the reasons why Claude's such a great playoff performer is what happened in 1986, his rookie year. He admits that his first experience was in the Stanley Cup final, in the playoffs, I should say, scored a huge goal against Hartford, and the next year when he started his first regular season game, he was, frankly, quite disappointed. Yesterday, I had a chance to sit down with Claude Lemieux.
Are you comfortable right now with your legacy as most hated man in hockey?
You don't want to be the person, who's classified the most hated men in hockey. At one time, there was something written 4 or 5 years ago, which was a very good article, but the title was kind of,
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was the most hated men in hockey, and I don't remember who did it, but I was kind of shocked, and I thought about it for a while, and I said that's what it is, and I have to live with it. So I have to take the positive from it and live with this.
When you're young, growing up, did you always play this style of hockey?
Pretty much, I always did. I was always very competitive, hated losing, and was just basically willing to do anything. Back those years, we had full body contact when we played Pee Wee, and I mean, no visor, no nothing. It was just tough.
Watch Lemieux. He's looking. Boom. Oh, like that sneaky.
If I'm allowed to use the word pain in the ass, I will.
Sure.
That's you, all the way.
My mom always said, you're such a pain in the ass, But when you're not around, it's so boring, And I think that's the best way to put it. I like the way I am. If I had to, redo it again, I'd want to be just the way I am. I know that a lot of people get irritated by the way that I play, by the way that I act. I just want to be me. If you really know who I am, I'm a straightforward guy. I can you know, I can look at anyone in the eyes and tell them what I feel, and I expect the same thing. I'm honest, and I expect people to be honest in return. If you have that type of attitude, I think you're definitely going to run into some problems at times, but you're going to be respected down the road, and whether it's by your family or your teammates or your opponents, when it's all over and done, they can look and say, well, you know, I don't especially like the guy. I don't like the way he plays, but I respect it because he's successful and he wants to win.
Claude Lemieux is well respected amongst his peers, I'm sure, for the way he actually plays the game of hockey, scoring goals and playing in clutch times. Now, during the regular season and the past year, Claude went through a pretty tough emotional time, a divorce, but then to begin the playoffs, he got his game settled down by the fact he signed a new 3-year deal with the New Jersey Devils at approximately $1.3 million per year. So he's set, he is happy, he's content, and he's got to be one of those front runners for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Now, another one of those front runners for the Conn Smythe Trophy has to be his goaltender, Martin Brodeur, and before the playoffs started, he started collecting his game sticks. He handed them to his trainer, Super Dave Nichols, and they collected them. After the first series, he said, you know, what if we go all the way and win the Stanley Cup? All of a pretty fine collection. Boston Bruins on the right in 5. The Pittsburgh Penguins in 5. Philadelphia in 6 games. And the Detroit Red Wings so far in 3 games. So after each and every game, Martin Brodeur collects those goaltending sticks. And they were magical, of course, in Game 3. Now, for more, let's go upstairs to John Saunders. John?
All right, Darren, thanks a lot. Martin Brodeur certainly could be a choice, but I personally don't think he's had to work nearly enough to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. I think that this one's going to Claude Lemieux.
Yeah, well, I think for once they ought to give it to a guy who just plays defense. Here's Scott Stevens, big, strong, taking lots of punishment block shots, covers Neely, covers Lindros, does it all, but never gets any recognition. And I'm sure, as a defenseman, Barry will agree.
A slow-footed defenseman, Mike, a slow-footed defenseman. I don't agree. Claude Lemieux deserves a Conn Smythe Trophy. This guy's been key in every play that turned games around, whether scoring a goal or making somebody mad or hitting somebody. This guy deserves a Conn Smythe. He deserved it in 1986. He deserves it this year.
Sometimes you disappoint me.
Slow-footed defenseman, which one were you referring to? It could have been any one of the two of them. Stick around. There's more Quest for the Cup when we return to the New Jersey Meadowlands. This guy, Scotty Bowman, he has to be concerned. He may be 60 minutes away from elimination. Back to New Jersey and the Devils in a moment.
Welcome back inside the New Jersey Meadowlands. Our quest for the cup continues. These are the Russian gloves worn in practice by Detroit Red Wings coach Scotty Bowman. The significance? They're from the hands of the legendary coach from Russia, Anatoly Terezov. And in the mid-70s, Scotty Bowman befriended Terezov, regarded as one of the greatest ever. And from that time, Scotty Bowman wore them for practice, and the Montreal Canadiens went on to win 4 Stanley Cups. He then put them in a box and moved to Buffalo and coached the Sabres. He then went on to Pittsburgh. Didn't take him out of the box until he came this year to the Detroit Red Wings in hopes for a Stanley Cup. Now, Scotty Bowman right now is in a situation where he's going to need all the magic in the world out of those gloves. And, of course, Anatoly Terezov, unfortunately, passed away yesterday at the age of 76. But for more on this, Game 4, let's go to our ESPN analyst, Bill Clement.
Well, Darren, this is a desperate situation for the Red Wings. It calls for drastic measures. Yesterday, Scotty Bowman kept his guys off the ice. No practice. Guess what? This morning, no skate for them as well. That means they go into Game 4 having not skated since Game 3. But remember, this is a desperate situation. But there's one thing the Red Wings have to do at the beginning of Game 4 they did not do in Game 3, and that is match the Devils' readiness to play. To me, there's always a sure sign a team is not ready to go, and that is how they cover in the defensive zone. There was a play that happened early in the first period of Game 3 that involved Stéphane Richer. He was behind the net with the puck. 5 Red Wings stood watching him with the puck. Nobody covered Bobby Carpenter behind, and that led to a good scoring chance for the New Jersey Devils. That tells me the Red Wings were not ready to play. There's something else that happened in Game 3 at the end of Game 3 that did not look good from a Red Wings standpoint. Sergei Fedorov scored when the game was out of hand. It was 5-0 at the time. He danced, he celebrated. There's only one way to describe his celebration: inappropriate. There was no victory in scoring that goal. Moments later, Steve Yzerman scored. To me, an appropriate reaction. Steve Yzerman knew that the game had been lost, and the last time I checked, there's still no I in the word team. So the Red Wings are down 3-0. That is desperation. They also have to work out some demons in their own locker room. You know what? They're running out of time. Gentlemen?
All right, Bill, thanks a lot. He talks about the Demons. Barry and I had a chance to spend a lot of time with the Red Wings yesterday. They're a very down group, and Coach Scotty Bowman has been very vocal about his disappointment.
He called it the most embarrassing moment in his Stanley Cup career. And I'll tell you, attitude is everything in this game. Watch this. Watch this right now. It's Sean Burr with Niedermeyer behind the net. Remember, Lemieux just threw the stick away? Right there, Burr gives it to Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer says, thank you very much. I think I'll just go coast to coast. Look at this. Blows by everybody, including Paul Coffey. This is the game-tying goal, setting it up for Jimmy Dowd later on.
The Devils haven't handled, the Red Wings haven't handled situations well either, Mike. In Game 3, near the start of the game, the Red Wings are flat. Young Marty LaPointe's on the ice. He could have sent a message right here and fought Peluso, turned his whole team around, showed those guys on the bench, I'm here to play, I'm here to make this team. We're going to win this game tonight. They need somebody to do that for Detroit tonight.
You know, there's a lot of people that believe the only team that can beat New Jersey tonight, New Jersey, if they come out a little bit flat, because Detroit has been flat for the entire series. But if Detroit can pull off a victory, we will be there for Game 5 Monday, if necessary, beginning at 7:30 Eastern Time with the Quest for the Cup preview show. And then at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the Stanley Cup Final back on ESPN. The Devils and the Red Wings. Game 5, if necessary. But Game 4, still to come. Stick around. At the end of the 1954-55 season, the Detroit Red Wings hoisted the Stanley Cup for the final time. Little did they know it would take a long time to get another shot. Cleveland Indians, meanwhile, were busy wrapping up the best record in baseball history, ready to take on the New York Giants. And the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, coming up with great plays like this. They were swept in 4 games. It could be the same predicament for these Detroit Red Wings this time around. Now, it could be the final game of the season. It also might be the final game ever played for the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, it is a shame that there's but at least they've stopped the talk for a little while. They're focusing on this. And one of the other talks they've had is they can't find a place to have a parade here. They're going to have a rally in the building because there's no suitable parade route. I think they'll still wind up back here in the Meadowlands, Barry.
When I saw that catch by Willie Mays, I thought they needed that in Game 3 on that shot from the point on the Dowd goal. But it's unfortunate that this team will probably win the Stanley Cup and maybe not be here next year. The fans have really rallied. It's a great atmosphere right now, but it's a tough situation for everybody.
Willie Mays in skates. We'll make a call. We'll see if we can get that done. Detroit might be able to use that right now. For more, let's join Steve Levy.
All right, John, thanks very much. One indication of how loose a club might be would be during practice. Well, Chris Terreri was going at it with Bill Guerin. They were sort of fooling around practicing. One of the assistant coaches, Larry Robinson, came by. You'd figure he said, hey, cut that out. He was actually giving Terreri some better ideas, how to juke it a little bit better as far as boxing is concerned. I asked every single Devil. I could only get one Devil to tell me that they've actually pictured carrying the Stanley Cup around this ice.
We all dream about it. We all think about it. And, you know, when you go, every year you go to training camp, that's what you think about. That's what you want to work for.
We've really stayed focused and taken on Jacques Lemaire's demeanor of, you know, one game at a time. And we're just worried about that first period. We've got a long way ahead of us, a big 60 minutes, and we're not looking toward that at all yet.
The year I lost against Calgary, the team lost, I had that dream for a while. I said maybe I'm going to win 2 in a row, you know, and then I said, well, I was so disappointed, I know, about this, so I want to make sure now I'll play a good game, and then will be time, you know, to celebrate.
9 years ago, Stéphane Richer won a Stanley Cup, and I made a bad mistake at practice today. I said, what would you do, Stéphane, differently tonight carrying the cup around than you did in 1986 with Montreal? He told me he didn't get a chance to carry the Stanley Cup around. He was scratched the game Montreal won. Steve Rooney took his place in the lineup. Tough break for a 19-year-old rookie. Let's go to Al Morganti for more on the Red Wings.
Thanks, Steve. Well, as Bill Clement told you earlier, the Red Wings haven't skated for a couple of days, so they should be ready to hit the ice flying, kind of like those octopus maybe in Detroit. And the other reason they should be flying, well, Scotty Bowman was very candid in his criticism of the team after Game 3 came out, told the truth, and for that, some people second-guessed Scott Bowman.
It's a question of telling the truth, which I've often been accused of not being, and now I'm telling the truth, and people still don't believe it. You know what I mean? I can't do any more. And, you know, I've been in this game a long time. I know that it was the poorest effort I've had from a team in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I was a little surprised that we didn't skate today, being that we had a day off yesterday. We talked again this morning, and we've done a lot of that in the last week, for that matter. Personally, I'm kind of tired of doing a lot of talking and tired of all the meetings we've had. I just want to go out and play, and we got to do it on the ice.
Tired of the meetings, tired of the talk. Well, what they talked about a little bit, or more than a little bit actually, was we can't worry about the Jersey Devils. We have to start just thinking about doing what the Detroit Red Wings do best, And the talk he's talking about, what they don't want to be conversing over the summer is how they got swept by the Devils, John Saunders.
All right, Al, thanks a lot. So the Devils can win the Stanley Cup, the Wings can stay alive, but each has a say. What about the fans? All they can do is sit back and hope to survive.
You coming out? We're all going out.
Not tonight. The game is on.